2028 Board of Commissioners meeting to order, starting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
As usual, please silence your cell phones. It's amazing how everybody jumps. Next on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, corrections, changes to the agenda?
No, Madam.
Thank you.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is the approval of the consent agenda. Would anybody like to pull anything off of the consent agenda at this point?
Madam Chair, I'll move it.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is public appearances. I don't see any public appearances at this point. So, property services, planning and zoning. Spencer, good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and the Board. My name is Spencer Crawford, Deputy Zoning Administrator. So Property Services has two items today, the first being PLN 22-04, and that is a mineral extraction conditional use permit request from Hoffman Construction Company. So Hoffman Construction is a contractor for the Minnesota Department of Transportation working on the Highway 14 expansion project. And they are proposing to extract 310,000 cubic yards of fill material for the expansion of Highway 14 from a pit located near New Ulm, north of the highway. So it's a temporary pit. The county does have a temporary use mineral extraction permit that can be issued administratively, but because it's temporary, but they're going to be operating longer than what that administrative permit would allow for, so it has to be permitted as a full operation, even though, a permanent operation, even though it's temporary. So the existing land use is agricultural right now, with some of the area of the pit being forested. They're going to remove the trees out of there. And there is some residential uses around it. So Shady Brook Acres subdivision is located to the east of the proposal. But there's a ravine and a creek that kind of runs through there, and it's forested, and it's very, very kind of deep ravine, and it kind of helps to buffer the proposal from that residential area. And there are other mineral extraction operations in that area as well. So you have New Ulm quartzite quarries located to the southeast of the proposal. So they're intending to use excavators, scrapers, and bulldozers just to kind of pull soil from that extraction area and kind of dump it along the highway to level it out. They're expecting to make about 200 trips per day hauling the dirt. But the equipment shouldn't come in contact with the general public because the highway is going to be closed for the duration of the project. They're not proposing any improvements, so the access road is already there. They're not going to make any retention ponds, no permanent structures once they're done. No blasting, not using any explosives or hazardous materials. Bond requirement of $59,000, and the applicant actually just gave me that bond right before the meeting, so Property Services already has that. Dust, noise, and odor control. No odors are expected. They're going to apply 0 to 9,000 gallons of water, so really just kind of as needed basis to control that dust, just depending on the weather and how much rain we get. Hours of operation are 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Ordinance states 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., but that was the ordinance also states that it's up to the discretion of the board to set those hours to be different as necessary. So the Planning and Zoning Advisory Commission put in the recommended conditions 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Water, so the water flow is not really going to change much on site. The final grade, the water plan was showing the stormwater kind of running the same way as it did before, so no anticipated changes with that. No safety fencing is proposed. You have kind of a natural buffer there with the ravine. And same with the screening. You're not proposing any screening, but you have a natural buffer with existing trees and the topography. The applicant did submit a reclamation plan, so using a typical roadside mix to kind of reseed some of the heavier sloped areas, and the remaining area will return to farmland. They're required to get a Minnesota Pollution Control Agency permit, and the neighbors were notified per the zoning ordinance.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move, and then after a second, I got a question.
I'll second approval of the conditional use permit and the findings of fact.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Lupke?
So, is this going to be a variety of, clay, gravel? Do we know what's going to get hauled out of there?
Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure the soil type, but I think the applicant could speak towards that.
Thank you.
I'm Jason Ivers with Hoffman Construction. Yeah, for what we're going to haul out, the DOT has an earthwork balance, so we need basically dirt to build up that new interchange at 37. So it's a mixture of sands and clays, basically. Just it's fill material to bring up the embankments for that new bridge and all the ramps and make that intersection improvement. So it's just strictly basically this fill dirt, basically. Some sand and clay mixture.
No topsoil, that's going to get returned?
So the topsoil that's on the site, we actually strip and we make a berm around it for erosion, and then all the topsoil on the site is actually going to be placed back on the site to redo it. So we don't need topsoil, we have plenty of topsoil.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Jack?
Madam Chair, thank you. Who owns this property?
John Hyman, he lives in New Ulm.
Okay.
This is New Ulm, it's back in New Ulm.
Okay. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Happy building.
All right, the next item we have is PLN 22-005. So this is a conditional use permit request from Wayne and Teresa Halfmeyer, and they're requesting approval to establish a swine feedlot. So the existing land use around here is agricultural. It's located to the south of Fort Road, and there's just kind of scattered residential development around the proposed area, but nothing within the offset distance that would preclude the placement of a swine feedlot. So they're proposing 3,000 swine between 55 and 300 pounds. That's 900 animal units. And the barn itself consists of a 122 by 200 foot total confinement finishing barn, an 8-foot deep liquid manure storage area, and then a 24 by 26 office attached to it as well. They're planning on rendering dead animals, and they have submitted a manure management plan that complies with the Minnesota administrative rules. And that's all for that one.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Any
Question?
questions? Jack?
Madam Chair, so we haven't seen many of these come through lately. What's the cause of this new idea?
Do you mean you haven't seen many conditional use permits for
Right.
swine feedlots? Yeah. Yeah, I unfortunately couldn't speak. I'm not sure why there haven't been very many of those recently.
750 corn.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Do these people have, Madam Chair, do these people have other facilities in the neighborhood?
To my knowledge, yes, that they do have other feedlots in
Yes.
Nicollet County.
And they've been good operators?
Yeah, I'm not aware of any violations of their conditional use permit for the other operations.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I guess I forgot, what township is this in?
This is in
Brighton or Granby?
it's in Brighton Township.
Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next on our agenda is Public Works. Good morning, Seth.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board and staff. One item from Public Works today is to consider award of our 2022 bituminous materials asphalt emulsions contract. Yesterday we opened 2 bids at our office, and in your packet you should have an updated agenda item form along with the bid results. Flint Hill Resources provided the low bid amounts for the different asphalt emulsions that we will be purchasing. These materials will be used in our seal coat operation. So I'm asking the board today to award the low bid unit prices to Flint Hill Resources for our 2022 bituminous materials supply contract.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Questions, comments for Seth?
Seth, can I just ask you, what is demurrage?
Demurrage, essentially in the contract, we have specified that we have a certain amount of time when that truck tanker essentially gets to our crews out on the road. We have so much time to unload that truck. If we exceed that time, then we will pay Flint Hills Resources $75 an hour to compensate their truck just sitting there extra time. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, you're comfortable with this company and with the bid?
Yeah, in all the years that I've been doing this here in Nicollet County, it's always been Flint Hills or MIGs that have submitted bids. There's not too many suppliers in the area for these type of materials. And we've seen significant increases in cost. We didn't seal coat for the last couple of years. Last time we had received bids was in 2019, and the CRS2 at that time was going for about $434, and now we're at $560. So the oil market is definitely volatile right now.
Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is finance. Good morning, Heather.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. You will recall I come once a year to bring this agenda item in front of you. So just to remind you, in December of 2018, the board approved a negative ditch fund policy in order to comply with state statute 103E.655, paying drainage system costs. So now we have working on our audit, and fiscal year 21 is complete. I have included an attachment that shows the negative drainage system cash balance of $1,844,310.05. In order to cover this negative balance, we seek approval to temporary transfer from the general fund. The advancement is to be repaid 4% interest as the funds become available in the individual ditch funds. And we are seeking approval by unanimous resolution. As a comment, compared to a year ago, we were pretty close to around the same dollar amount. It was about $1.6 million a year ago, just as a reference point. And I think that's it. I can answer any questions that you might have.
Madam Chair, I'll move adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. Is there a second to the resolution?
Second.
So, Madam Chair, this is an annual issue
Exactly.
situation. It gets paid back in, correct, Ms.
Correct. And I know Jackie's not able to be here this morning, running around with election things, but we keep in contact with the balances of individual ditches and their situations, and we will, of course, when we bond for something else, we'll consider bonding for ditches as well if need be.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Chair, we don't pay any interest to the positive ditch funds, though. Is that correct?
Correct, and if they're positive, it's a short time, the way that Jackie figures that, so that's correct, though.
And Madam Chair, Commissioners, historically, this hadn't been done, and we were ringing up big deficits, and Bridget was the first to call it to our attention to make sure that we evened out those balances.
Well, and our auditors have dinged us on it for decades.
They had some issues. Yeah.
That's correct.
So, any further questions? Hearing none, will you please call the roll, Sarah?
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Kohlars?
Yes.
Commissioner Hack?
Yes.
Commissioner Lipke?
Yes.
Commissioner Drano?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution passes. Next on our agenda is the county attorney. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I have two matters to discuss with you today. The first is a request of the board to authorize me to enter into a contract with Prosecutor by Capel to change our record management system. The contract is included in your packet. There are some revisions and changes to that contract, so I'm seeking permission to execute that once those changes have been made. Just to summarize the request that's before you to change our record management system, We currently use a system called MCAPS, and that system is currently undergoing some upgrades and changes that prompted a need to look at other systems to use for records management. We had a demo by Prosecutor by Capel. We've communicated with other prosecutors' offices, as well as watched live demonstrations at other county attorneys' offices, and decided that the services offered by this program better meet our needs than the MCAP system, in that it allows for more flexibility in file management. It is more efficient in processing digital discovery, which is ever increasing in our criminal cases. It also allows for automatic data gathering for our victim witness grant, and I believe also better technical support. The initial cost for the change is roughly $88,000. If the board approves this contract and switching to this records management, I will be applying for ARPA funds. I haven't done that yet because I wanted to ensure the board was approving it. So I'll be submitting that proposal. It really, all of the budgeted expenses will come out of, or excuse me, all the expenses will come out of the 2023 budget. However, I wanted to enter into this contract now so we could get on their list for implementation in 2023. I also believe that this program will offer a lower current annual licensing cost than what we are currently paying with MCAPS. So with that, I would ask for the board to authorize me to enter into that contract and would answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions for Attorney Zender Fisher?
You think this is in the best interest of the county and of your office and everybody?
I do. I think in watching the demonstrations, I see a number of efficiencies that will be brought about by this program and long-term benefit of cost as well.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, Madam Attorney, how long will the contract be? Is it a renewable? What is your?
It's if I recall correctly, it's an annual contract that would be renewed annually.
I see. And you'll come back to the board to talk about its successes and renewing, or is it automatic?
I believe it's an automatic renewal, but I certainly would, once we're implemented, I certainly would report back to the board about the success and efficiency of the program itself, or hopeful success and efficiency of the program.
And I, for one, I'm sure joining my fellow commissioners would be interested in hearing how that's working.
And I anticipate a very positive response from our victim services coordinator, Ms. Peterson, because of the program enhancements to giving her the data she needs to fill out her grant.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Next item.
The next issue that I bring before you is permission or request that the board approve entering into an agreement to secure outside counsel with the services from Scott Anderson of Rupp, Anderson, Squires, and Waldsberger, I believe is how it's pronounced, to represent Nicollet County, Sibley, Martin, Waseca, and Watonwan counties in reviewing a bond collateral disposition agreement related to the Amberfield properties. The board received information from David Anderson at the May 17th, 2022 workshop related to the history of the South Central Multi-County HRA and the purchase of these Amberfield properties and his historical bond development and bond purchasing obligations to cover operating deficits related to that Amberfield properties. The trustee and major bond holders are proposing the sale of some of those properties, and there are documents that are being circulated. And we are the county attorneys met from those 5 counties seeking permission they met and discussed hiring a single counsel to represent the county's interests. So I am seeking permission from the board to enter into that agreement with Mr. Anderson. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, so that's all the counties that are involved in this, right? That you
Correct.
listed? Okay. And do we pay by a percentage of what properties we have, or does everybody pay the same?
No, it's based upon, my understanding, it was based upon the proportionate share of housing units constructed within each county.
Thank you.
Further questions?
I would just note we had a very good discussion
Yes.
during the workshop
Mhm.
that gave us a lot of background
Very
on this.
informative.
Yes.
There's a lot of historical information. This dates back to 1993. And then there's a lot of different documents that have circulated during that time period as well.
Seeing no further comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Next on our agenda is the county attorney update.
The only thing, in addition to the two items, is that I had an opportunity to take part in a presentation to staff at the Minnesota Security Hospital on the collaboration that occurs when criminal acts occur on campus. And so there was a presentation over the noon hour last, I believe it was Thursday, that I was able to participate in and talk with staff. That would be the sum of my update. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Chair's report. Nothing unusual other than last Thursday I toured part of the construction at the North Mankato Health and Human Services building. It's coming along quite quickly. It's going to be nice when it's done. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Hack.
I did go to the open house up there at the North Mankato building. It's nice. Also, I had outside of the board meetings and workshops, the State Radio Board Finance Committee meeting and Adolescent Chemical Wellness meeting plus the SHIP meeting.
Commissioner Lepke.
I did spend part of my birthday touring the clubhouse with Cassie and her people. Went to a presentation at South Central Co-op on climate change and agriculture, and very informative professor originally from India there. Went to the workshop with the rest of you, did the SHIP meeting Zoom with Dave, did the Rural Minnesota Energy Board with Zoom, so I was really glad I did it by Zoom because it was only like an hour meeting. Doesn't need 4 hours of driving. And my mother, who is long since deceased, was born 100 years ago today.
Oh, thank you. Commissioner Morrow.
Thank you, and thank you all. I had a good drive to California and back for Maggie's graduation. I'm sorry I missed the Lighthouse open house, but in addition, as Dave said, to workshops and the like, St. Peter Regional Treatment Center, I was able to call into that meeting with Michelle. Let's see, Tri-County Recycling we had last week. That may be it. Thank you.
Commissioner Kolars.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had the RETA meeting, the Minnesota Valley Action Council meeting, our workshop. Traverse DeSue joined commissioners at the North Cato HHS tour, and apparently that's going to be finished in August, we're hearing, and so that's a good thing. At yesterday's MTRAC meeting, our immunization meeting, we were told that the immunization rates for children for measles, mumps, and rubella is not yet equal to pre-COVID levels, and so efforts are still being made by the MTRAC Joint Powers Board to encourage doctors to encourage their patients' children to get those reports. Other than that, that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is Commissioner meetings and conferences. We have the AMC District meeting on June
8th.
8th, okay.
At Le County Law Enforcement Center, beginning at 8 a.m. And also a reminder, June 22nd is the Nicollet Township Association meeting beginning at 7 p.m. in Nicollet at the Legion.
All right, next on our agenda is to approve the per diems and expenses.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Adjournment of the regular board meeting.
So moved.
Madam
Thank
Chair, we haven't even heard from our administrator today. Does she have anything that needs to come to our attention?
See, I'm following my list.
She made out the list.
Administrator Landcamer, do you have anything to add?
No, just the 2 upcoming meetings in June, and that's all I had for today.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that. Do we have a motion to adjourn the board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now we can call the Drainage Authority meeting to order. Is there an approval of the agenda?
I'll move.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the only thing on the agenda is the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And now a motion to adjourn the Drainage Authority meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.